coming up on Unwritten?
We don't shame people because of their obesity.
Certainly we love people no matter what the size, okay, Thomas? But let's just be honest, if we really want those people that we love to live, sometimes you gotta say the hard things.
How do y'all feel about like fat shaming and body diversity, and how do you feel about all that?
Recently, Angie sent me like this 4 or 5 social media influencers who are morbidly obese. They're all dead in their 20s and 30s. They're all dead.
Who was Alan and Angie before you had this mindset shift?
So we were always in here, in these bodies, but we were the people that were looking. I was primarily. Angie was just drifting along with me, and because she had a husband that was morbidly obese, we go into comparison mode, and she never would have said it, but I'm not as fat as you. Is probably what her mind was thinking, and although she would never say something like that, but no, I was the guy that was probably describes a couple 100 million people in the United States. I was the guy that was looking for a quick fix. I was looking for a something that would take me to the land of eat as much as you want, whenever you want, and whatever you want. And I was always looking for that magic diet, if it's a South Beach diet or Weight Watchers or the Zone, or going to buying a gym membership and showing up for 6 weeks instead of 6 years, and doing all the things, and because we want it fast. I mean, we want to see results immediately, and we're trained. Marketing is trained to give people exactly what they want without costing them anything in their own personal effort. That's what marketing does. I mean, and it's just common sense. If you eat more than you burn, you will lose weight. And it's eat less than you burn. It's been a long time. She correct. She always does eat less than you burn. Forgive me. Yeah, man.
That'd be amazing if you could eat more than.
Yeah. No, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I probably screw that up too, though. So,
no,
it was like my 14-year-old who's now 26. Ours. Yeah, we have 4 kids. He's mine when he says smart stuff. He looked at me when I was on about probably my 70th diet, maybe 80th. And over 35 years, he looked at me and he says, "Dad, this really is not that complex. If you eat less than you burn, you're going to lose weight." And I'm like, "Oh no, that's it." I thought to myself, I said, "That's a bunch of hogwash. There's no way that's true." And there had to be a magic formula. And so it was always, it's just like with our clients. I mean, we have kind of an unusual approach with our clients. We don't ever tell anybody what to eat or what exercise to do, because it's all BS. They already know. They all come to the same conclusion. It's like one of our clients who walks with a walker. He has fused vertebrae. He was 70 years old when he came to us. He's a heart attack survivor, type 2 diabetes, you name it. He's a walking unicorn is what we call him, because over 70, alive at 388 pounds is unheard of at 5'10". Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I told him, over 3 years ago, I said, I'm positive we can get the weight off of you. You'll do the work, but it's not your diet and exercise plan. You got to change. I said, you have to change what you eat, obviously, if you're physically able. And he's not able to lose weight, physically able to do hardly anything exercise wise. Me do a little kind of arm stuff because he's got his vertebrae like in curvature, and he just clocked in at 176 pounds down. And so I don't say that to impress people. I say it because it was never the diet. I mean, are there better strategies than others? Of course there are. What we're too lazy to do, and I was a typical fat, lazy person. I'm even in the Bible, it talks about gluttons are lazy. We were
gluttony.
Lazy. Gluttony's lazy, and
that's one of the deadly sins or whatever.
Yeah, it was like I was lazy. I didn't want to do the work because the work meant that it would look like it would be something that would take longer than I wanted. We want the lottery mentality with weight loss. It's like people who invest in the lottery and
Yeah.
stuff. They're fun to play sometimes, and I know people win them, but it doesn't usually make a great retirement system.
Yeah, it's like the people that are like addicted to it, that like go in every paycheck and they
It's a regressive tax.
try
It's a
to,
tax on the poor,
yeah.
but that's another story. But I don't say any of that to belittle people to do it. But what I'm saying from a weight loss standpoint, it's just funny. It's like a client that we're working with right now. This lady, she's had weight loss surgery. Now, I'm not trying to, I mean, people got to do what they want to do, but they always will anyway. But she had weight loss surgery. She struggled with weight. She came to us and she told us she only ate certain foods, which really she should be losing weight. And I'm like, okay. I said, so first, I said, if everybody in your family was taken hostage, and the only way to get them back alive is to lose 1 pound a week. And you can't ask a dietitian, nutritionist, physical fitness expert, a doctor, a nurse, and you can't even Google what to eat. You have to do what you already know is right. Could you save your family and your loved ones? And she said, yeah. I said, what would you change over the last 30 days that you did that would have cost them their life in order to save them? She said, I'd stop eating ice cream and cookies. And okay, now a minute ago she was just talking about very healthy things, typical produce section of the grocery store and lean. But that's the lies we tell ourselves. This is and by the way, when she saw this, she couldn't see it. We can't read our own label. I mean, it's like if you're obviously a lifter, you lift. I mean, you have people who watch your form, and in the gym, I'll guarantee if you don't, because you can't see the stuff you do wrong. And it's just like that with her. She couldn't see it, and all of a sudden she's in 5 weeks she's down 14 pounds. And I mean, we never told her what to eat. I mean, I'm going to say again, not to impress people, but just to say, stop freaking lying to yourself and own it. You got to take responsibility.
Yeah. So you said you were doing this for 35 years.
Yeah, I was 55 when it triggered.
He was at the 304 35 years ago. No. But it was inching its way up pound by pound, year after year.
So you were like 20 when I
wanted
to do something.
and by most standards, he was not fat. I mean, at 180, 190 at 28 years
200.
old.
I was across the 200. I was overweight, and you just think you're going to fix it one day. And especially when you have a wife, and we've been married for 38 years, probably longer than you've been alive.
I just turned 30 last week.
We have kids in your age range.
I have socks in your age range. They're in good shape. So Thomas, it's interesting where when you have a spouse too that says, "Oh, I love you anyway," and doesn't. You begin to build these coping mechanisms that's okay, and it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to literally thousands.
I know how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked to thousands of people who struggle with obesity. Okay. And in almost every one of them, except the ones that obesity caused their divorce, will say this. And by the way, that's the number one cause of divorce in America is weight gain. And
really? I didn't know that.
It's behind, number one is infidelity. Number two is finances. Weight gain. And so the ones who they haven't lost their marriage because of it, they say, well, my husband or my wife loves me anyway. And I can tell you, when I got the weight off, my wife still loved me.
Go figure.
Go figure.
I wasn't going to leave him, and he wasn't going to leave me when I released my weight.
It's almost like we buy into these coping mechanisms at such a high level that we think if we lose it, that they might not love us. But when our way,
it's like you justify anything.
It's beyond justification. It's a coping mechanism. They move past the coping. I mean, the justification to this point of where you have to make it okay just to survive. You have to make it, you walk into a restaurant and you're for a business meeting and you're terrified they're going to seat you in a booth with your client because if that booth is a bolted down booth, and I speak from experience here, If it's a bolted down table and bolted down booth that you can't get in the friggin' thing, and if you can, you might not get out without taking the wall with you.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, or you get on an airplane and you're praying, let this be the seat.
You take up 2 seats.
Let this be the seat belt that is big enough to go around me, so I don't have to push the button and above me and say, steward or stewardess, please come and bring me a seatbelt extender in front of everybody who already was dreading you sitting beside them. It's shame enough they won't say it, because and you press that, and it's like this. We have to cope because we've told ourselves, and even the culture today.
Yeah.
Angie sends me pictures of, they got another obese model and and whatever.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that later, but
yeah,
I do have a funny story about an obese person that I sat next to on the airplane. It was when I was like just joining the Navy, and I think I was like on my flight on vacation after boot camp, and I was so worn out from boot camp, and I was in the middle seat, and the person next to me, she was on the hallway seat, or the aisle row or seat, and I ended up passing out, and I didn't even realize. I woke up and I was like using her as a pillow.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's and she knew, but she was too. I'll guarantee you, she was too ashamed of the fact that she was probably taking up a third of your seat. And we don't shame people because of their obesity. I mean, I get it. But go ahead.
I just want to point out real quick, because a friend of ours was just at an amusement park. I think it was Universal in Orlando. They now have trial seats to prevent that same scenario of having to call and be told you have, like just a few years ago in some parks still today, you are told you have to get off the ride. You're too fat. You're not acceptable, danger and all of that. But now they even, because we're trying to say, oh, it's okay. We, certainly we love people no matter what the size. Okay, Thomas. But let's just be honest. If we really want those people that we love to live, sometimes you got to say the hard things. And I didn't. I went to bed every night after the last kiss and worried if he would wake up when he got up in the, 2:50. I mean, I don't even know. But for several years, he did not know that, because I never wanted to crush him and embarrass him, because I did love him. But probably if I had to do over again, I might have, because I always helped. I mean, I was always in the kitchen, cooking the right things and all that. But he was out in the field working, and of course,
grabbing 2 candy bars to go along with my baked chicken breasts.
I didn't know all of that. So I just wanted to say, now we're just accepting it and making it, whatever.
We're making
it's the woke agenda.
We've gone crazy, Thomas.
And it goes. But here's think about it. If you were going to take out an entire culture, okay, what better way to do it than with a knife and a fork? I mean, how pretty cool is that?
Well, that is what North Korea is doing, but the opposite. North Korea is doing that, but starvation, not through obesity.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's
so it's happening in the world. It's just
No, it's a challenging thing that it's not something that people fix in a minute too. So you ask who I was. I was the guy that was just trying everything. And I remember going into one of those meetings of one of those companies. I won't say which one it was, but kind of meets every week, and you go in and you weigh and. And nowadays with HIPAA law, privacy laws, they can't even say when somebody has a victory. And so, but I was noticing after, it was probably like literally in my lifetime, probably 10 different tries at that particular program, which is a good program. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, people lose weight on it. But at the end of the day, I was sitting there, after probably 3 months, I probably, lost 5 pounds, which is ridiculous. At the time, I was like 290 pounds. Okay, I hadn't crossed the 300, so I was 5'11". I was morbidly obese, And there was a whole bunch of other people that were morbidly obese, and it was like everybody was getting together for a kumbaya, kind of thing, like let's sing around the campfire. And the leader who was a very kind lady, she and her husband, they were both very fit. They were not obese. They have really had done really well and couldn't have been any nicer. But she said I can't even. She couldn't even reward people who like to say, hey, you got your 5 pounds off or your 10 pounds off anymore, because that was against HIPAA law. The company was afraid they were going to get sued. And so on my last meeting there, I made a decision. It was my last meeting, middle of that thing, because it was stupid. I stood up and I said, my name is Alan Thomas. I think I weighed 289 pounds at the time, whatever it was. I said, I know that we're not allowed to say, that our leader's not allowed to say this, the person's name. I said, but I weigh 289 pounds, and you probably thought I weighed 389 to look at me. It's not like I could hide it. And I said, I'm nice knowing y'all. I wish y'all well, but this isn't working, because it's just it's like you're playing in this land of like the emperor has no clothes. You pretend like people don't know it. You pretend like people don't know it, and so you can convince yourself it's okay, and it's not. It's the people are. I was in shame every morning. I thought about it every day. I thought it was dragging on my brain. It was dragging on my marriage. It was dragging on our kids. Our kids were impacted. It's all this stuff. And it was it's the flipping simplest thing in the world to fix. It's hard.
Why do you think it wasn't working for 30 plus years?
Because I was always looking for a way to get to the land of eat as much as you want, whenever you want, whatever you want. And that land doesn't exist.
So you just never really followed through.
It was going. People ask us all the time. We get people who never had success in their whole life with weight, and we walk them through our process. And people, the guy, like I mentioned earlier, the guy down 176 pounds, who thank God, but he was dead man walking when I talked to him, and he called me a lunatic publicly. He called me a lunatic because I told him I was positive we'd get him to his ideal weight.
What do you mean publicly?
On Facebook,
like on social media.
He called me a lunatic. He said this guy's a lunatic, and this was after he was down about 100 pounds, and it was telling the story about how I had him take his before picture of his face because he wouldn't recognize himself. He said, I really thought I was a lunatic till now. But I said, if you'll do the work, and it's not do you have to change what you eat? Of course you do. Do you have to do some exercise? Well, he couldn't, and it still works, but why I failed so many times is because I didn't cut off all other possibilities. I didn't do what a decision is. A decision means to cut off every other possibility and to go all in. I mean, I won't, we're Jesus followers. I'm not preaching to anybody. If I preach to anybody, I'll take an offering. So I'm not going to do that. But I love Peter in Scripture, in the New Testament. Peter was awesome. He was a badass. I mean, he was just amazing. And so, but he gets bad press because he sank in the water, when he was walking to Jesus on the water, you remember? Yeah, if you've ever heard that historical account where he walked on water and he sank because he lost faith, and people said, but I look at it a different way. What I love about Peter is the fact that here he was, he's 100% man. 11 other men were in that boat with him, and he is the only man that ever existed in all of humanity that got to walk on water in this life. Jesus is a God. I mean, that's what I believe. So anyway, but he got to walk on water. Do you know why he's the only one that got to walk on water? You know why?
Why?
Because he got out of the flipping boat. He was the only one that got out of the boat. Everybody else goes halfway in. And that's what it was for me in weight losses. I was always had a foot on. I always had that foot in, thinking, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? And I've got to cope with it. And then somebody passed the Doritos that say family size on them. They're just single serving, but they say family for some reason on them. And so I would go to that, and I would say it doesn't work fast enough. It does, and I would stop this close. We had a client recently that told us they always get stuck at 197, and I said, well, how long does it take you to quit when you reach 197? I don't know, 2 or 3 days. I said, will you give me 30 at 197? This morning they weighed 188.
That was just a few weeks.
That was a few weeks. That was a few weeks ago. It was like 3 weeks ago. And so my point is, we stopped.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon Hill, tells the story of the guy who was digging it for gold, but we stopped from gold. We stopped.
Oh yeah.
When it's really close, and because we
self-sabotage.
Because when I have so much honor for you that you served in the military, because when you're in, buddy, there is no way out. Right? I mean, you don't get to say, "Oh, this is."
I mean, there's ways out. People.
I'd rather not get up. I'd rather not do. You had to do what was required, or else, right?
Yeah, or else you'll get kicked out.
Yeah. Or else. Yeah. It was. Yeah. You're all in, and that's why when we have clients, what we're always looking for. We don't take everybody in our program. Believe it or not, there's nowhere to push a button to buy Rethink Dieting because I can't help everybody. There's only 942 million people that are obese worldwide. So there's a couple people. 942 million growing by 92,000 a day. Okay. And that's after the people that 1 every 7 to 9 seconds is dying right now. Right. But,
well, I actually pulled up a statistic from the WHO, World Health Organization. Sure. I don't trust them. But yeah, they have a statistic that says in 1990, 25% of the world was overweight, and now, 2 years ago, 2022, it's now 43%, or 1 out of every 8 people
worldwide.
Yeah. The U.S. is probably more. It's probably like 50% or something.
U.S. is about 72% are overweight, and about 42.8% are obese or morbidly obese. And it's not the health piece of it is important. Don't get me wrong. The health piece is huge. Okay, but if that were enough, wouldn't everybody look like you already? Okay, they'd be fit and in shape if that was really enough. But what we find is when we're talking to clients is they, it's like the reason that we don't tell people what to eat. When Angie and I dropped 192 pounds together, obviously everybody in the world is asking, "Oh, what did you do? What'd you do? What they're really asking is, how do you get to the land of eat as much as you want, whatever you want, and whatever you want?" That's what they want to know. And this lady, because I used to do the same thing. This lady called Angie and I up, and we're talking to her. She was like a friend of a work colleague in our insurance business, and she lived in another state. She was in cosmetology, and she was like 100 pounds overweight. She said, "What did you do?" And I told her the nutrition strategy that we used, which we don't even talk about anymore because it's stupid. People already know what to eat. But our nutrition strategy, my doctor said was safe. It was just super healthy. All physicians agree with it. All this stuff. And she starts picking it apart like a microbiologist. So she went from being cosmetologist to microbiologist in 30 seconds. And this is what I used to do, the same thing. She said, "Well, I can't eat it for this. And Angie and I are sitting there listening to her and kind of, "Oh, are you kidding me?" And I said, and it hit me. I said, "What'd you have for lunch?" She said, "I went to Taco Bell." Awesome. Taco Bell's known for their healthy food. I said, "You went to Taco Bell. What did she have?" And she had like a chimichanga with the extra cheese that's not even really cheese, and all these different things. And the large size, and she had a Mountain Dew. And so my next natural question for her was, "What'd you have for dessert?" She said, "Oh, I stopped off and got some Kit Kats." I said, "Awesome. I love Kit Kats."
The fact that she had a dessert.
I knew she had a dessert.
I never had dessert.
You went to Taco Bell. If you want to have a dessert. She's
going to have a dessert. And I said, "God bless you. Have a nice life. I hope you find what you're looking for." And I got off the phone and said, "I will never, as long as I live." This is before we were doing this as a business coaching. We never planned to do this. And I said, "I will never, as long as I live, tell people what to eat because it's stupid. They already know it. Okay, they already know, and I've proven it multiple. Angie and I've proven this.
They just don't want to give up.
What it is we've abdicated the role of responsibility about our weight and health to somebody else. Because that's what a $92 billion diet industry will do for you. They want to say, "Let us figure it out. You don't worry about a thing, Thomas. Don't you worry about a thing. We got it figured out, so you don't have to learn." Okay. Now when you were in the military, I guarantee you had to learn to do everything their way. You had to learn.
Well, you get kicked out if you're overweight.
No, I'm not talking about the weight. I'm talking about even.
Oh.
Did you know how to make a bed as well as you did? I'm just using that as an example. Did you not learn how to make a bed like awesome way to make a bed?
Did you hear the Admiral Raven
sure,
speech?
that. I'm using that. But did you not learn how to polish your shoes in a certain way better than you?
Oh yeah.
And clean the toilet.
And clean the toilet a certain way and use it. So my point is, you have responsibility of it, and it impacts you the rest of your life. If people would take the time, and this is what we do with our clients, they say to us, they say, well, should I have more carbs? I said, I don't know. Should you have more carbs? I said, what's the data look like? I said, what's the data look like? What's your body telling you? I said, you don't have to starve yourself to lose weight. You just can't quit. And so I said, should I be running or should I be walking? I said, I don't know. What do you think? And it's interesting when you put it back on the person and you start focusing on the mindset and you start focusing on the belief level. It's like Dave.
That's more important.
Well, it's the 98% that we all miss. It's like Dave Butler is a client of ours right now. He just clocked in at 288. He started at 420 in February. Okay, February. He's trucking. I mean, he's trucking through his weight because, well, here's the thing. Do you think a guy at 420 burns more than a guy at 185?
Yeah, you have more to burn.
Yeah, but you burn more. But so it's so interesting watching him. We got him to focus on, my way I ask people what they should weigh. I don't ask them to consult a chart of the doctor's office. We don't want anybody to do anything unsafe. If they're doing something their doctor would disapprove of, they're doing it wrong. Okay, they're just doing it wrong. And so I asked him, I said, if the creator of the universe walked in your house with the version of yourself you were created to be at your present age, what does that version weigh? Well, he was afraid to say 185 early on. He was 420, 5'8". He says 210. I said, awesome, let's go to 210. About 50 pounds in, he's seeing our process works like magic. It's not magic. It's nothing magical. He's the magic. He had it inside of him all along. And he said, would it be okay if I lowered it to 185? I said, I don't know. You think that's a healthy weight? He said, yeah, that's what I really want to weigh. I said, awesome. I believe it's. I've just been waiting on you to claim it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's ultimately his, but now he's about to approach about, what's he down, 130 pounds? 131, 132 pounds without anybody giving him a diet. How do you do that? You've got to change your thinking. It's just like you when you were in the military. And I've never been in the military. Thank you for serving. Thank you for protecting us and giving us these great gifts.
It was rough.
but when you're in the military, you had to learn things. You had to make decisions that were different. You had to, and the guy who embraced those decisions was the guy who got through it, or gal. I mean, it's like too. You have to embrace. You have to surrender to the authority that's before you. I guarantee you had to surrender to that guy barking orders at boot camp, or a gal. I don't know if it's a man or woman, but you had to surrender to that individual that was barking orders. You had to surrender. When people learn that they have to surrender to this, they have to surrender to do whatever it takes, and they don't have to do crazy. They just have to do the thing. We lock people in. We don't physically do this. We metaphorically do it. We lock people in. We lock people in the prison of their own making.
Physically.
We don't do it physically. and then they find out that they're really not locked up at all, that the prison door has always been unlocked. All they had to do is push on a little bit and they walk to freedom every single time. And then they learn this way of getting free. And then all of a sudden they get married. They find love when they didn't think it was what. All of a sudden they start writing books. All of a sudden, I mean, we've been written up in 2 books lately. Third one earlier that we're in. They're not because we did anything special, because we just showed them the greatness they had within them. Your military officers showed you the greatness that was within you. They got you to take a look. They did it probably in a very abrasive way, I'm sure, but they showed you some stuff to where you stood tall beside other men and women in a way that a lot of people like me, I honor the heck out of that. I mean, and so, but they showed you something in yourself that will impact you forever. And that's all we do.
Yeah.
We just don't do it with as much yelling and screaming as you probably endure.
Probably. Thomas, you asked the question, though. I do want to answer it as well. And
Which one?
You want to talk now? Come on now.
Well, I haven't had a chance.
Okay.
But you asked what we were like before.
Who were you?
Yeah.
When I went out, now if we were out with the family, it was one thing. But if I went into like the post office, I was invisible, and I was not morbidly obese. But that door got shut on me. I don't care if the person was a foot ahead or 5 feet ahead. Here in the South, I mean, we grow up, you hold the door, unless they're just getting out of their car or something crazy. But I mean, you're talking just a moment or
People
two.
couldn't see her.
I felt, and it didn't really occur to me how that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it that way for quite a while. And we'd go in, there's a restaurant here in the South, Firehouse Subs, and you know, prior to starting this journey,
a Subway. Yeah.
It's like a Subway. They yell out, welcome, you know, to Firehouse Subs, and do a little song kind of thing. Well, Alan may have been in earlier, or people ahead of me, they all heard this, you know, had the welcome. I would walk in, and it just occurred to me, and I wasn't, like I said, I didn't feel like I was an ogre or anything. I'm always well dressed and polite, but what happened? It was like I just was not even in the.
They wouldn't say they would.
And he heard it many times. Several times.
I was 100 pounds overweight, and they would say, "Welcome to the Firehouse." She'd walk in and they'd be silent. They didn't see her. It was interesting. She became invisible to other people. It was kind of weird.
And it was crazy. So
not to me, but
that's I mean, just out in public, and I didn't really realize it till I was on the journey, releasing them.
So how do y'all feel about, like, I guess this, like, fat shaming and like body diversity, and how do you feel about all that?
You know,
So-
I think we've made everything okay.
Yeah,
and it's
from how are you asking the question? You meaning that it's okay to be morbidly obese and everybody's okay and they should have the right to be morbidly obese?
I think it's never okay to like shame somebody
but it's also, you know, we come from a place of compassion because we've been there. No, I mean, we come from a place, but I will say this. We've gone too far with it, because what happens is, like, you know, recently Angie sent me like this 4 or 5 social media influencers who are morbidly obese. They're all dead in their 20s and 30s. They're all dead. I mean, what woke me up was at 55 years old, I got on the scale and I stared down and I saw 3 at the beginning of the number for the first time ever. 5'11". I'm not 10 feet tall, dude. I'm 5'11", 304. And I was in the life insurance business that dealt with the senior market. That's people 65 and older. Now I was 55 and I had 10 years before reaching 65. And I was starting to think, I couldn't remember I trained agents. I'd sat in thousands of homes with, you know, the metaphorical Miss Johnson or Mr. Johnson, who was, you know, at 65 and older. We were helping them with their burial insurance. I could not remember one single man. Now I remember women, because women live longer than men. They just are terrible health. But I could not remember one man that was more than 100 pounds overweight, because I used to get height and weight all the time with and the thousands of people I dealt with. Now, there's some out there, like I said earlier, we call those unicorns. And what it hit me standing there on that scale was my wife, who I love desperately, who had 4 kids. All of them were grown except one was still home at 15. I realized I was going to be known as her first husband if I didn't do something about it. I was going to be known as the guy who, you know, when she'd have pictures on the wall and she was married to this, you know, good-looking guy who I envisioned, who's, you know, super successful guy, and she would say, "Who's this guy? Is that your brother or something?" Because we're kind of favorites sometimes, you know. People think they say, "Oh no, that was my first husband. What he died?" Well, and she'd make excuses for me. She would never say he died. He ate himself to death. She would say something like, "Well, he died of a heart attack, or he died from type 2 diabetes, or he died." Now, I didn't have any medical conditions other than morbid obesity. That is a medical condition too. People don't think it is.
That morbid obesity makes you more susceptible to
everything. Everything. It's a flip. It's why men die 20 years early. Men die 20 on average. It's 20 years early when they're morbidly obese. So if you think of from a pound standpoint, I actually calculated one time based on an average height guy. I forget, it was 3. I'd have to go back and look at it. It's 3 or 4 months or 6 months for every pound or something that you're overweight. I mean, it's like people want to know how to buy time. That's how you buy time. Women, it's 5 years. Women, and depending on which study, and I'm like you, I don't believe everything WHO says. I don't believe everything CDC says. But hey, walk into Walmart and and throw a biscuit. If it doesn't get eaten by somebody that was my size, somebody that looked like me, if you throw a biscuit through Walmart or through Costco, you're going to end up hitting 7 people that are obese. Okay, and I'm not, and it's not to shame them. It's to say, wake the heck up. The culture wants you fat. It's like
that's what it is.
We
Yeah.
recently had a pastor who went through a process, and it was interesting. 5'8", he went from 260 to 170. He followed a process, dropped it like in 9 months, or 8 months, whatever it was, and he got free. His church is thriving all of a sudden because he's not a hypocrite anymore. This is what people don't realize: is if you're sitting there telling somebody, if if you have children, and you're telling them to do things. If you're a boss at a business and you have to people that are your responsibility, you have to guide them. If you're in church leadership, if you're anything where you're in leadership, and we all are at some level, and you're carrying around the extra 50, 75, 100, 200 pounds, I was walking hypocrisy. There's no, because I was advertising with my fat that I could not control myself. I could tell my kids not to smoke cigarettes and be authentic.
That's true.
I could tell my kids not to become alcoholics because I wasn't one. I have no problem with having a drink once in a while if you can handle it, but I couldn't. Yeah, and the hypocrisy is so prevalent because we think that nobody can tell. They can tell. It doesn't mean it's like we've got a young woman right now going through our process. She's down 60 pounds,
right?
60 pounds. I mean, and she's come alive again. All of a sudden, she's got her jam back, and she's still got a ways to go. And it's like it's sitting there waiting on you. And again, I won't go spiritual on you, but I will. When everybody says they won't, that means they're about to. So at any rate, but it's like the creator of the universe is sitting there dangling your best life in front of you. It says, you solve this problem with this simple thing called weight, and I'm going to open up the floodgates for you. And it's we've seen it happen. I've just seen the evidence. I mean, we saw a guy who was in a wheelchair if he had to walk more than 10 feet. When he dropped more than 100 pounds, I get all my clients to promise they'll tell us the magic moments that have nothing to do with their nutrition or the actual weight loss or the health things. I want them to be healthy. He's cycling, he's walking, he's doing all these things after couldn't walk more than 10 feet without a wheelchair. And he calls Angie and me from New York City. He's with a multinational company. He's been in operations for years, a pretty big job. And he says, Alan, he said, they just gave me the International Sales Award. I'm like, cool, that's awesome. He said, they were talking about Angie and I from stage. I said, I don't know the CEO of this multinational company. I mean, we're just, I'm just a nobody from nowhere kind of thing. And he said, no, you don't get it. And he said, it's because of my weight loss journey. I said, but let me ask you, I said, when did you transfer to sales? You're in operations. He said, that's my point. He says, I didn't. I'm in operations, but because it was a magnetism that brought in a client that they end up closing the biggest deal of the company that year because of his journey. And so people want to motivate. They want to encourage people. Just quit talking. Start showing them. Show them how to. And it's like, I'll guarantee you that drill instructor in your boot camp walked the walk too.
Yeah, I mean, some people were more hardcore than others. But so yeah, this whole fat acceptance woke ideology, it basically promotes the idea that you can be healthy in any body, no matter what size your body is and your behavior.
You can be healthy.
They think it's not dependent.
Right? You can be healthy doing crack, right? I don't do it.
You're skinny, right? People don't eat when they do that stuff.
But you can be healthy being an alcoholic, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't promote it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that it's all insane. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Thomas. Sorry, you were talking while I was interrupting you. Sorry about that.
No, I was gonna read this article post that somebody wrote about why it's a problem. It's a problem because it's suffering from, America is suffering from intolerance. It is not, though. It's not suffering from intolerance. It's suffering from tolerance of right and wrong, truth versus error, virtue versus evil, Christ versus chaos, and tolerance, or the woke crusades think like this. They think how healthy transmutilation and hormone therapy must be. Like, just think about that. And encourage behaviors that are harmful to the individual and our society. But what true tolerance is not meant to be, it's not meant to applaud somebody's dangerously indulgent habits, but to accept that we all have vices and we lovingly guide each other towards being better and improving.
100%. That's and it what's interesting is that how we change people, how we really change them. Like if you've got somebody in your life that's got a struggle, solve yours. If you've got somebody that and we've seen this happen. I know one of our clients called me. He dropped about 70 pounds, ran his first mile he'd ever run at age 48 in his whole life. Literally had his whole family surprised and flew in, and it was a tearjerker watching this video that he made. It's been several years ago, but he calls me up. He says, he said, my nephew. Now, this guy needed to lose weight. His nephew was struggling with pornography, but he didn't know he was struggling with pornography. The uncle who was my client didn't know that the nephew was struggling with pornography. The nephew came to him and he says, because of how he displayed his commitment to his weight loss journey, the nephew ended up kicking pornography. He ended up having his his girlfriend's father hold him accountable to not looking at pornography. He ended up getting funding from his small college he went to start an anti-pornography group on his campus. Now what you think
it's
about
an epidemic. The porn industry is really, it's an epidemic.
It's crazy. It's almost as bad as weight loss. I mean, as obesity, and
it's probably worse.
I'll challenge that one. 942 million growing by 92,000 a day.
But the porn industry is most of the people are behind closed doors, so it's not as statistically accurate.
Here's what can't be argued with is that it started by the seed that was planted, the walking away from porn, by the seed that was planted by the uncle facing his obesity and doing something about it.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It was inspired.
That's it, and that's what we tell people. I said, there's when people come into our process, when they're invited in, say, listen, embrace the fact that you're obese. Be grateful for it. Okay, it's the greatest gift you'll ever be given, but it's a gift to get rid of. It's a gift you get, but what you're going to see is as you start getting rid of that gift. For example, when I was 304 pounds, if you stood me up in a stadium full of men and women who looked like James Bond models, I mean, the perfect build, got everything going on. There's no way to hide my 304 pounds, my obesity. And equally so, when I started releasing that weight, I prefer releasing rather than losing because you look for things you lose. So releasing that weight, that can't be hidden either. And every one of those men and women who were struggling, who had no struggle with weight that was in that stadium I talked about, every single one of them has a struggle. None of us get out of this life without facing some kind of struggle. Maybe it's with their children. Maybe it's with gambling. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe it's with infidelity.
Relationships.
But when they see the person tackling their challenge boldly, the weight coming off, what they see is hope when they've been hopeless, because nobody can see their problem. You can hide most of that stuff. Like you said, it happens behind closed doors. But when they see it happening, it gives them hope that maybe there's an answer for them, and they start facing theirs. And their answer is usually sitting right between their elbows. It's where it always is, almost every time.
So what was Angie's? What's your story? Why, like, what made you really decide to
This
start?
man, I mean, let's just chase when he that morning and he went public. I mean, he did it was a whole different time in 2017. You didn't have 3,000 friends on Facebook. You know, just had our small community from where we used to live, and you know, friends here, parents of our children, work acquaintances, things like that. And he actually made it public that he was going to do this, and so
She was pissed.
and
too.
I was, yeah.
It's a commitment. No, that's actually a very good
So
tactic. Yeah.
it works. Let me just tell you that, Thomas. So I was just nearby, and it actually came from a small coaching call. We were in like a lunch and learn, and we didn't realize we had 10 minutes of coaching.
Business
per day.
coaching, not weight
Business
loss
coaching. Yes, business for our insurance business, or you could be in any sales, but we were in insurance, and so. He was on the phone with the coach, and that's what transpired on like day 3 of the Monday through Friday, and it was a 10-minute call. And when the guy who they weren't on Zoom said, "What's your issue? You know, what do you think's holding you back?" And when he said the weight, and they went through all of that, and come to find out, the answer from that call was do it, and so you know, make it public for that commitment, and so. A friend or two men that had also a great deal of weight, you know, saw it and said, "Oh wow, I need to do it too." And you know, a little group was starting, and then some, you know, he had some female friends that were interested, and I knew I had to lose weight, so, but I knew I wasn't morbidly obese, but I knew that it had been, I wasn't happy with myself, and so. When he made that decision, though, to go public without talking to me, because we always make big decisions together, and that was a pretty big decision.
She was
Thomas,
pissed. Like I said, she was pissed.
I was pretty pissed. And so, but when others were starting to want to join, and he said, "Are you going to post too?" And you know, and I said,
"No."
I
said, "Do you want to be the first lady to win at this?"
And that's what got me to do it quickly, because I was like, I had not waited the doctors, and I don't know, maybe 4 years. And in that time, I'd probably gained 15, 20 pounds, honestly. But I was like, no, I don't. Nobody knows what I weigh, because I would just tell the nurses, I almost had some.
Say that slower. No, nobody knows what I weigh.
No, I had never
these are lies. These are lies. Overweight and obese people.
I was lying.
So nobody knows what I weigh, and I looked at her and said, "Sweetie, I'm an insurance agent. I could work at the state fair."
Yeah.
I said, "I can tell you your weight within 10 pounds." And she said, "No way you can tell me my weight, but you don't know what I ever got a clue what I weigh." I said, "You weigh 186 pounds." And she said, "I'm 188. And I said, "Oops."
When I got on the scale, I don't even think I got on the scale until after.
We think we tell ourselves these lies, and she jumped in and she smoked me. She got to her weight in 190 days. So dropped 60 pounds.
You know, we didn't deviate. We went out.
Yeah.
We weren't hermits during that time. Within just about 3 weeks, we were invited to a surprise birthday party at one of our favorite restaurants here, you know, about 12 or 14 people. And the husband brought in, you know, a huge cake. They were having all, you know, dinner and all of that. We had already enjoyed our dinner at home that fit us, but we went and we enjoyed, you know, Diet Coke or unsweetened tea and coffee, and it wasn't about the food. We could have just sat there and had water. But when that waiter was bringing the cake around, I promise, I thought Alan was going to knock the guy out by accident, of course.
Well, he was
bringing this like whole. It would have been a whole cake, because
he was like
your mouth was watering.
No, he was doing what he was doing. No, because I already made the decision. What he was doing was he was being polite because I was the fattest guy at the table. Nobody else was overweight like I was. So what do you bring the fattest guy at the table? What size piece? You bring him the biggest piece. And so, and it was Publix cake, which are amazing. I mean, they're awesome. And I knew if he set it in front of me, it would have been over. And so I stiff armed him. I almost knocked out of his hand.
It was funny. We still laugh about that. So that's what happened. I was going to be the first woman. I'm very competitive that way. I wasn't
You think?
gonna have the hot hunky husband and me still be
Oh, yeah.
188 pounds.
She's still
And-
looking for the hot hunky husband. So
Silly. So I, and we did it together, and it was, and we saw our children do things like I was talking about. Our older boys, one did a YouTube for wine. He was.
They started
a
taking
sommelier.
chances. They started doing things.
One
risk taking.
wound up at law school, get a law degree. So it's amazing, but no, there's no regrets. The only thing I regret is all the many times I started and was close to my ideal weight within, say, 20 pounds. But then it's a weekend away, or it's somebody's birthday, or it's this event at school. And then we get I moved away from what was important. When I came back, I didn't, even if I had just taken those few days, it's getting back on. But what we do know is when people do take a break, take a weekend, take a vacation. We have one client, especially that comes to my mind. He was going on a guy's weekend in Myrtle Beach golfing, and he had been with us just maybe a month. He was having success. He was having a great success to start with. And he told us, he was going away, and we're like, think about your choices when you're there.
I told him, I said, it'll cost you 3 weeks.
And
I said,
it did.
I said, no way. But he still ended up dropping 100 pounds. He learned from it. And this is the thing. You're all of these, we come up with all these reasons why it's not possible. We come up with all the, and we hear them every day, and I'm always intrigued. Go
well, I just want to say we actually were traveling some while we were on our journey and still lost weight. And every day you're not going to lose weight. It's a little this. Even if you are perfect, and we were perfect, we did not have ice. If it's something we did not, other people in our family did their thing, but we weren't in there. So no, let me, like in the old days. Oh, I'll just have a little taste of that, or we have a little share it or whatever. No, we cut off. We jumped out of the boat, I guess, or burnt the boats, if you say. Well,
yeah. I mean, it's at the end of the day. You stop. I would say to anybody that's listening to this that struggles with obesity, stop looking for the magic. You're the magic. You've already got magic within you. I mean, if you want to win at this, and you want to win long term, surrender to the fact that it's never going away. I tell our clients this all the time. I said we're going to show you how to do this. We're going to show you how to build yourself a roadmap out of the wilderness of obesity that you're in. We're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to change the thinking. But when you get there, understand that's day one. That's when day one happens again. I said because you're always going to have that bent towards it. I already know that your metabolism is not fast enough to burn what you want to eat, because or else we wouldn't be talking. So we already know that. So whatever excuses you have, abandon them. Surrender to them. Surrender to the process. It's going to take as long as it takes. And
I think you have to own up. Like, I think that's one of the first things you have to do is just own up to. Like, you can't be in denial about how you got there, and
it's like the Israelites. This is the thing, okay? And I won't bore you with all this stuff, but I want you to think about it. They went on an 11-day walk. 11 days. That's an 11-day walk from Egypt to Israel. 11 days. 600,000 men plus women, children, and livestock. 11-day walk. Took them 40 years. You know why it took them 40 years? So we're looking for the shortcut. I was looking for the shortcut for 35 years. And this is what breaks our heart right now too, is all these people getting on Ozempic, getting on these pills.
Oh yeah,
they're losing the vast majority of the weight they lose is muscle. So when they turn around,
really?
It's insane. What was the numbers like on a 20 pounds? It's like more than 50 pounds of
like
muscle.
I didn't know that.
It's way, and don't hold me to the exact numbers, but it's way high. So, and when they get, if they're lucky enough for it not to kill them, if they're lucky enough for it not to have all the medical issues from it, if they're lucky enough to survive it, when they get off of it, it's worse than it was before. But into that, I say, so what? Now take responsibility. You figure there's a way out. The people that we get that are weight loss surgery survivors. We get our favorite clients just are the ones that just have a thread of hope left. They just have a thread of hope left because at the end of the day, if they're really willing to surrender to the process, and that was using the guy Rick, the one I was talking about earlier, the 70 plus year old guy. I mean, he literally just been to the doctor, told he was 388 pounds, and he was trying to decide whether to eat himself basically to death to go to 400. And he
Oh
somehow
wow.
stumbled on our information somewhere. We still don't know. We believe it was kind of one of those God things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so and he's sitting here talking to a guy he's never met before in his life, other than on the phone. And he says, "Nah, I don't think it'll work." I said, "I'm positive it'll work." And the reason I was positive was because he had all this evidence in his life where he'd stuck to other things. He just hadn't stuck to this thing. And when we started pointing out
Okay.
evidence, and he utilized this, it's just like you've got this leverage on everybody out there who's not in military. So you got leverage on you've got a leg up on me. You've got a leg up on anybody because you endured something I haven't endured. It stunk probably when you were going through it, but as you learn those things and all, you carry them through your life. And so this guy,
Yeah, that's true.
when we find people that have endured things, and everybody's endured something, and they figured out a way to persevere, then we know we can show them the way out. And then once they're out, then they can make the decision, hey, do I want to go back or do I not? And does it mean they're never? It was like one of our clients just 4 or 5 years ago. We call him the apple pie guy. He came to one of our calls. He said, and he was doing really good. I said, so tell me what's going on today. He said, you know what I had for breakfast? And he said, and I said, no, what'd you have for breakfast? He said, apple pie. I said, good for you. You figured this out. He said, you're not mad at me? I said, no, I'm not mad at you. I said, he said, Alan, you're right. He said, I followed your process. And he said, yesterday at this dinner, I was going to eat this. And I said, I'm going to ruin it if I eat that apple pie. But I wanted that apple pie so bad that I figured out a way to work it into my plan today. So it's not cheating.
Yeah,
It's that you can figure out a way. It doesn't mean you got the
that's
whole.
kind of how I like how my diet is.
Yeah,
Like I don't really have a diet. I eat majority of the time good, but whenever
yeah.
I get like a craving or something,
Yeah, once you're there, you can do it. This guy lost like 50 something pounds with us, but what was interesting was he figured out his formula, and so he's like, you mean you're not going to guilt me for having apple pie? And I said, hell no. I said, I'm thrilled you figured it out early. You figured
and
it
guilt
out.
makes it worse too. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
feeling
not.
of
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what fat people do, and I'm saying because I was one of them. And what we do is his normal routine would have been because he was expecting me to be not happy with him. So if I hadn't been happy with him, he would have thrown up his arms and said, that doesn't work. I'll
Like guilty.
lose that money. Now I'm guilty. So now I'm going to fix being guilty to make myself feel better. Well, he doesn't drink. He doesn't run around on his
Emotional eat.
his do pornography. What he'll do is go to the refrigerator and let's eat the whole apple pie so I can make myself feel better. So tomorrow I'll feel worse. And it's this circle of flipping insanity that we do, and that's what it's the simplest thing in the world to fix, Thomas. It really is. It's the hardest thing in the world to fix, though, because just like one of our closest friends, when he's never had struggle with his weight, he's always been very thin, very fit looking. But in 1993, he had his last drink after becoming an alcoholic. Okay. And he was one of the people that really inspired me to get my weight off. He really was, because he would call me, not badger me, but he's just like checking me, because he knew I was dead man walking. 55 years old, 304 pounds. Didn't matter that I hadn't been diagnosed with heart disease or type 2 diabetes or any of that stuff. I was dead man walking. And so when I got my weight off, he called me up and said, brother, I'm so proud of you. He said, but you've got it harder than me. And I was driving on Amelia Island. I was headed to Jacksonville for work. And I said, what do you mean you're drunk? I knew what he meant. I mean, I knew that. And he says, yeah. He said, I hadn't had a drink. And at the time it was, how many ever years was that? 27 years at the time. I haven't had a drink in 27 years, he said. And I never have to walk in a bar. I never have to take a drink as long as I live, but you've got to eat. And I can tell you, Thomas, I almost wrecked my car when he said that. I did. I remember the exact spot. I almost swerved off the road. Because what he was saying is true, but there's a way to make your weight loss a zero sum game, like what he does. And when you make it zero sum, you make it, you're either in or you're out. And and it's like a client that told us, who's a new client of ours, who's going on vacation. I said, decide what you want when you get back. said, I have no problem. If you tell me you came back and you ate 52 ice cream cones, I'm not going to be angry at you. I'll be some work to do. I said, but decide what you want ahead of time, and do not have a cheat week. I said, have a week where you made intentional decisions that you decided. I said, as long as you do that, you're going to be golden with me. But if you come back and say you fell off the way, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear that you made decisions. I want to hear that because when people start that it's a decision, just like, have you worked out this week?
I just worked out before this podcast.
Okay. So when before you went, did you really want to go that bad, truthfully? Before you went?
I've been doing this challenge for myself personally. I've been doing 100 burpees a day, and the goal is to do it 100 days in a row. And I'm on day 30 today of 100 burpees in a row. I never want to do the burpees. I love lifting weights.
Yeah.
But I hate cardio. I hate doing any type of cardio.
So on your 70th burpees stink, right? On your 70th,
I already hate doing them. I dread doing it.
But when you get to the 100th one and it's 30 minutes later, do you feel pretty proud of yourself that you made it?
Yeah, all the time.
It all started with a decision, my man. It all because there's 8 billion people who didn't do 100 burpees. I'll guarantee you.
Or one.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same stuff.
Yeah, I think you really have to decide and envision yourself as basically becoming a new version of yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And people don't give themselves permission. The guy that mentioned was down 130. Did you want to talk about that? You go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, I was thinking something else.
The guy that was down 130 pounds. I mean, he went to tears. I mean, this is a tough guy. He's not a pushover. He went to tears when he started. When one of the things we have people do is to get a real clear image of what it looks like at your ideal weight. And man, he just broke down. He couldn't even keep it together. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I just never even thought it possible. I said, and this was with him at over 400 pounds. I'm telling him, but now he believes me at 288, and he's still going.
What did you say to him that? I just said, imagine the day that you hit your ideal weight. Imagine what it's going to be like. It's just like if you were starting, if you've ever like you finished you're not active duty right now, right? No.
Okay. So remember what it felt like boot camp? You were thinking about what it was going to be like when you finished boot camp, right? All the way through boot camp. If I can just get through these, 6 weeks? If I can get through these 6 weeks, you're not making quitting an option.
It's 9 weeks.
Or not, whatever it is. I'm sorry. I've never been say. So you're never making quitting an option. You're envisioning the finish line.
Well, I didn't know how to swim before.
And that's even bigger deal.
In the Navy, they force you to learn. They throw you. They throw you in the deep end.
Yeah, and my point with that, but quitting was not an option for you. Now, did some people quit? Yes. But with weight loss, we make quitting an option. If it gets hard, it's going to be hard. You're going to have some days where you don't feel like, where you want to eat everything in front of you.
And now today, it's being shown in the media that it's okay not to care about it.
Well, it's say if you don't want to live, they're right. It's like going out and playing, and we live. I don't know where you live, Thomas, but we live near I-95.
Texas.
We're about so I-10 is probably relatively close to you. Interstate 10, somewhere around there.
I live in the boonies of Texas.
Okay. Well, imagine going to a 6-lane highway, 3 each side.
Some big ones
and running across 6 lanes, running across and rush hour traffic, and you got to do it many times. How long do you think it's going to take before you get run over?
The first time.
Yeah, probably. You might make it 1, maybe 2, and that's what people do with obesity. The media can say what they want, but people running across a 6-lane highway and expect, and then the people of God, which we tend to draw a lot of Christians in our process. It's not required that somebody be a Christian to come to the Rethink Dining, but they say, well, God knows my years. Yeah, but he gives you free will. He knows the year of the crack dealer, the crack addict, the heroin addict, the alcoholic, the adulterer. He knows their years too. But does he think it's okay? He's going to love you if you're 500 pounds, but it doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean that you.
It's like the saying when people say, Jesus, take the wheel. It's like when I hear that, I hear like you're not gonna do anything about it because Jesus is gonna do it.
Take the wheel when you've done everything you can do, and everything. There is a point where you say, "Okay, God, this is up to you." But but that doesn't mean you don't have responsibility. It's no different. It's no different than. I mean, God always in Scripture. He always like when Moses was standing there by that burning bush that wouldn't burn up. And he was like, and God's telling him all these things you're going to do. You're going to walk the Israelites out of the Egypt. You're going to do all this stuff. And he remembers growing up with Pharaohs. He remembers seeing them chop heads off and all kind of stuff. The Pharaoh, and he knows Pharaoh's no joke. And he's like, I can't do that. I can't even talk straight. He had all his excuses. Sounds a lot like obese people. I had all my excuses. Angie had all her excuses. She was carrying pregnancy weight. It's just our youngest child was 15. We had excuses though. She was
for 15 years.
I was, I had to eat. I mean, I had to have 2 candy bars because the king size one sale that day, and they had a 2-for-1. I had to eat both of them, and so at the end of the day, what ends up happening is we give ourselves all the excuses. That's what Moses did. What did God say to Moses? He said, "What's in your hand?" Now he had a stick that he used to tend a sheep with. He said, "Throw it on the ground." And he said, and he threw it on the ground, it became a snake. Moses went and hid. He said, "Get up off your butt and go pick that snake up. It'll turn back into a snake." And he picked it up. It became a stick. He said, "What is in your hand?" Okay. Now that same stick, I don't think it's accident. When those 600,000 men and women were sitting they were cornered in by the Heber Mountain Range and the Red Sea, and the largest army on the face of the earth was coming at them, fast horses, bows and swords drawn, about to get sliced to death. And God says to Moses, "Tell your people to stop praying." Look it up. It's the only time God says stop praying. Tell your people to stop calling out to me, which is praying, and start to take action, moving. And he raise that stick over that water in front of you and see what happens. And it wasn't in it. And if people tell me it was only 6 inches of water, I say, well, thank God that you drowned the entire Egyptian army in 6 inches of water, because you drowned the entire Egyptian army. They found evidence of that too. So the point I'm saying to you is you got to do something. You got to do your part. It doesn't mean that God's not that Jesus take the wheel is wrong. Mm-hmm. If you're doing your part, then the supernatural happens. It's like the guy who I was talking about, who walks with a walker. He did what he could, and then all of a sudden the supernatural starts happening. I can't take credit for this junk. It's too unbelievable to happen. But at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility, just like you do with your kids, just like you do with your marriage, just like you do with your money,
everything. Yeah.
But it's the greatest debt that we are owing right now. People tell me all the time, "I don't do credit." God bless you. How come you're 100 pounds overweight? That's the biggest debt in the world. They said, "No, it's not. I'm just fat." Yes, it is. Debt is trading something you want today for a price in the future. The price of a morbidly obese man is 20 years. The price of a morbidly obese woman is 5 years. That's an expensive debt. That's way more.
Yeah, it's because we live in this instant gratification world, and we don't want to give up certain things.
Oh no, you can't have any pain. God forbid. It's like, I'll guarantee you that 70th burpee and that 71st burpee, you're feeling pain. But when you get up from there,
I feel pain from the first one because,
right.
because I've been doing them every day, and like, I could tell like my muscles aren't recovering fast enough. Mm-hmm. So it's like my body's still sore, but it's just a random challenge of mine I'm doing.
No, it's awesome. I love that. What is the saying? If I cannot do it, I must do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just been doing stuff like that lately, just challenging myself to.
Good deal. That's a lot like losing 100 pounds, dude. Same thing.
What, 100 burpees every day for 100 days?
That's a lot. About the same.
Well, are you ready to play this game? You have anything?
Go
I
for
don't
it,
know.
man. Go for it, man. If it's too hard,
All right.
do I get to quit? Do I get to stop?
It's just a
I'm kidding.
We're teasing.
question. Yeah. So share something life-changing about a story about me that I hope my kids will tell.
You first. She hates when I do that. I give her the hard stuff.
Life-changing story that I hope my kids will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, this we're from South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. I was
My
born in
brother lives there.
Whereabouts?
I think he's like 30 minutes west of Charleston.
Oh, okay.
So
He's probably Somerville.
Yeah. We're from. Was born in Columbia. We raised our children in West Columbia. We met at the university there, and we were always going to the Charleston area or Hilton Head, whatever. And back in 2004, there was a contest in the state newspaper. You voted for the restaurant, this and that. And I hope this is what you're looking for, but I wasn't.
It's a guy's story.
It's whatever.
And so we had access to more than one of those papers. So I filled out one for Alan, one for me each week because our family had the same newspaper. And after 12 weeks, the winner from each week was going to gather, at the Mazda dealership. And so it was like week 6, 7, 8, I don't recall. And I'm just trying to, cut it out, to fill it out, to send it in. And the previous week's name, because I had not honestly been looking. All of a sudden, I looked and it was Alan's name. Now, we're married, so even though it was his name.
But I'm going to interrupt you because you're leaving out the most important part. We felt like God wanted us out of that business. Okay, I was part owner in a clothing store with two partners who are amazing people. They're good people, but I just believe God wanted us out of the business. Now, this is an example of where Jesus takes the will makes sense. Okay, and I said, and I had tried to figure every which way we could to get out of it because there was no financial way that I could do it on my own, and without boring you with all the details. And I made the statement: if God wants me out, He's going to have to write a check. Now you go.
So the day came. So all of a sudden I'm saying, oh my God, Alan's name's already there. Well, I do continue to fill them out for me. But, we know he's going to, go for this day where, we're going to go, the kids, and we're there. And they're doing it in order. So you're like number 9, maybe?
You were having to walk in and I was number 6. You had a velvet bag. You had to reach your hand in and pull the key out that would either start the car or wouldn't start the car. If it started the car, you won.
And the big radio station was there. They had
about 500 people
popcorn, all this, and all the families of all the people. It was, it was a pretty big deal. And I should have let you tell this, I guess.
It's okay.
But he put his hand in the bag and had a key, and then he felt like
I dropped the key.
He dropped the key.
I dropped the key, and I
took a different one.
It started the car. And it was the winning key, and it was it's your school.
Oh wait, you picked 2 keys?
No, I didn't pick 2 keys. What happened was I from the time that my name was drawn to be one of the 13 finalists. Mm-hmm. I knew that I'd won it, and I wasn't happy about it because what I was going to have to do was something extremely uncomfortable, which is sell my business, which I had no clue what to do. All these different things. That's a picture of it, right? That's me winning it.
We have a nicer one in our den, but belongs to somebody in our family.
And I really didn't want to do it, but I knew from the whole time I was going to win it. I mean, it was just like this feeling, and I'm not. I'm not that woo-woo. Maybe I probably feel that I am, but and I knew it. And literally I had my hand in the bag to draw and if you took your hand out, you couldn't draw again. But I felt this in my gut to drop that key that I picked up, to literally let it go and pick up another one. And I had this calm feeling that, yeah, that's the right one. And then I walked over the car cranked. It's like I knew it was going to crank. And what's interesting is I'd said 6 weeks before, God wants me out of that business. He's going to have to write a check. Okay.
Hmm.
The guy who owned the dealership was a client of our clothing store, and he knew me real well. Knew we had 4 kids, and he's like, "Dude, so this is a sports car." He said, "This is you don't need this car." He said, "Why don't you come down here on Monday and I'll have my son write you a check." And it didn't hit me what he just did, and that's what they did. They wrote a check that day. And that was the courage I needed to move forward. And well, for us, I mean, we were moving forward together.
Yeah.
Literally, we made the decision to do so. But yeah, that was part of her. It was just as much her story because she did these things along the way. But what I would want the kids to remember is that, when we have a clear vision of what to do, despite the obstacles, that we continue to persevere, that we continue to go. Like, I want people to understand that about us. Because for example, it's like this weight loss business. People see us, they say, "Oh, guys, you had all these clients, you made all this money."
Oh.
It's like I was listening to Elon Musk the other day talk about he was down to his last 30 million. Oh, we've been below that a little bit before, and he was making hard, but it was a hard decision for him.
Oh yeah, I heard a story about I think it was Tesla or
He was down to his
SpaceX.
last 30 million. He had to decide whether to put it in SpaceX or Tesla.
Yeah, I heard that one.
If you put it in SpaceX, SpaceX would make it. If you put it in Tesla, Tesla would make it. If he split it, there'd be iffy, but he split it and both made it. And so, but that's like we've been in those kind of situations without the 30 million, and we persevere because we know what we're doing is really right. I mean, it's for us, it's how do we change the trajectory of obesity without a diet and exercise plan? Think about that. How nuts is that? That's like the silliest thing in the world. But how do you change it
No, I
without?
love that.
But that's what we're doing, and we're just praying.
That's what it is at the core of it. It's how you think about it, because most people are afraid of changing who they are and making different lifestyle changes.
See,
So
I agree to a point with that, but I actually disagree with that. So it's not changing it. It's people are afraid of who they really are, uncovering who they really are. Because when you uncover who they really are, they're way more powerful than you can imagine. The version of you that'll get through this 100 burpees, way more powerful. He's already in you. When you take ownership of how the greatness that's within you, that's what's scary. It's not scary to be somebody else.
you already are that.
It's way more scary. It's like we had a lady go through our program who identified some real challenges she had in her childhood, and she went to and we didn't do it. She's like, I figured out why I've had all this extra weight all these years. And she came to, and she's taking it off. And it's like when we see the version that God created us to be, it's frightening because I'll tell you, Thomas, for you, I mean, I just met you an hour ago, but the version that God created you to be is way beyond your wildest dreams. You're flat badass. I mean, I know you are. I've not said that to anybody else. I mean, in that version we fight against because we're afraid of it. That version is going to ask you to take steps that are going to dwarf you, that are going to bring you to your knees. That version, but you're fighting for it when you find that it. It's like when my mentor for years was Dan Miller. Angie's my mentor, Dan Miller. He started his coaching business as a Sunday school class across the hall from a guy you may have heard of him. His name's Dave Ramsey. They both had Sunday school classes teaching people. Dave Ramsey.
Is that the finance guy?
Yeah. He's but no, I don't know Dave Ramsey at all. Wonderful human, I'm sure. I don't know him, but I knew Dan Miller very well. And Dan Miller watched me walk through my weight loss journey, and he walked us through a lot of transitions. That car started with, that was part of his transition too. He passed away in January from cancer, unfortunately. But he came to me early on in this. After we lost weight, he said, "Man, you need to coach this stuff." He said, "You need to teach people what you're doing." I'm like, that is. I didn't say this to him, but because I just said, because I don't want to tell people what to eat and what exercises to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew they already knew. Do they have to exercise? That's good. Do they have to change? Of course, I always say that. But then about 2 months later, somebody heard my story, mine and Angie's story, and reached out to me and said, "Would you help me?" And they were like, not like begging me, but pretty close to it. "Would you please coach me? I know you know how to get out." And I had the worst feeling in my gut. It was terrifying. I mean, it really was, because I was going to be taking responsibility for this individual's, weight.
Yeah.
It's really a heavy burden on me, not a physical weight, but a burden. And I just told him the same thing we've told every single client since then. I said, I can get you out of your obesity if you'll do the work. I said, but I'm never going to tell you what to eat. I'm never going to tell you what exercise to do. And because that's not your problem.
I think that's huge, though. Like the
Well,
way you say that is kind of huge, because it gets them to reflect on their own decisions and not.
when you have to own, it's like one of my clients. I actually cold called somebody early on in our coaching business. This guy who's pretty well known, and I said, I'm that guy's going to be my client by the end of the day, and so I basically had to call him fat. I got a very certain. This is where God took the wheel and got me in touch with this guy.
Yeah.
I won't bore you with a long story, but he's a brilliant marketing guy. He's worked with Tony Robbins. He's done stuff with Tony Robbins, DeGraziosi, Shark Tank people, all these big wigs and everything. He comes, major corporations. He said, dude, you need to give people a weight loss, give them a meal plan and that kind of thing. He said, I said, well, you've dropped 88 pounds of fat and gained 30 pounds of muscle. What did I tell you to eat? He said, oh, good point. And so it is counterintuitive. And do we give people a strategy? Yes, we give them a strategy for becoming an expert on themselves. And it shocks us. We're talking about medical professionals that are clients that are and they say, you mean you're not going to tell me how much broccoli to eat? They don't say it like that. I said, no. I said, I want you to learn the things that the diet industry's stolen from you. I want you to learn what yourself, and you're either winning or you're learning. There's only two modes, and we're going to put you in a situation where you can't quit unless you really get egg on your face. We're going to help you. We're going to be right here, but we can get the weight off of you if you will do the work. And people don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the burp. And I'm not talking about physical work. But it's the thing that's the problem. And but anyway, I didn't mean.
Are you allowed to share the strategy, or is that a secret?
No, I mean, actually, no, it's not. We have a free train. I mean, first thing, I'll give you this. I mean, it's a 5-step strategy that we start people with. The first thing is that weight loss does not begin with a diet or exercise plan. It begins with, why in the heck are you doing it? Okay. How bad's your problem with weight? How committed you are to solve it? That's huge, and it's part of that reason why. Like for me, it was, I didn't want to be known. I knew I was a walking dead man. And she was going to be married to some hot doctor, or
Why do you always think
be sleeping in my bed? I mean, are you kidding? That's a big why. Even though she's not started shopping yet, but that was. But anyway, but my point is why you're doing it. Then you got to stop. Then the second thing is you got to do. You've got quit lying to yourself. Quit lying to yourself. All the diets out there on the face of the earth work at some level, but create your own. It's amazing when people track their data and quit being lazy. Yeah. Fat people are lazy. I was lazy until I wasn't. And then understand your data. Understand everything about your data. In just because at some level you've got to have a deficit at some level to win with your weight. I mean, you've got to have a deficit. There has to be more burn than's consumed. Third thing is quit telling yourself that, it doesn't matter what you weigh. Yes, it does. That's data too. Get on the flipping scale. Get on the scale. Don't get on it once a week. Get on it every day, because every day you can look back 7 days, 14 days, 21 days to see how far you've come. And day to day, it's going to suck, because you're going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like you get in the gym, and the first month in the gym, you don't look like you don't look like you do now. That's years of training, and so, but you can't see it without the data. You know your data, and the fifth thing is, invest in mentoring. Get somebody to, if you can't do it yourself, get somebody to walk beside you. Get somebody to walk beside you that can do it. And that was the fourth thing. And the fifth thing is the one nobody wants to be accountable. We call it extreme accountability. And so get accountable with somebody that not the Twinkie out of your hand when you're walking down the golf course. That's not accountability. Accountability is saying, it's like my client, our clients, they get really clear and they say, I'm going to this weight by this date. Watch me. That's how you say, I need somebody to witness this journey. I need
Yeah.
somebody to witness my journey because they're not going to believe it. I've been struggling with this for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, or 50 years. They're not going to believe it. And they watch them and they see that it works. And it just works every flipping time. People don't, it does. But if they go, actually, we created that little micro that I just gave you, got a free training. If they go to transformmyfuture.com/unwritten, recognize that one?
Yeah.
That's your way. I didn't want to put all Thomas, but we made it easy. Transform my future.
Yeah, that's how all of my like sponsorship and affiliates are.
Yeah. So if they'll go to transformmyfuture.com/unwritten, they can watch the 40-minute version of it. But if you're looking for a magic pill, don't bother. Don't waste your time. If they want help, or if some of your clients are hearing this and they say, "Hey, I need some help," and they want somebody who's walked in their shoes, because I understand what it's like to be 100 pounds overweight. I know that feeling. I know how it sucks. It's awful. Angie knows what it's like to be invisible. She knows what it's like, that all those things. And if they want, book a call with us, transformmyfuture.com/apply. And they can book a call. We don't have a place on our website where they can buy what we do because we're not right for everybody. It's so funny. We just had a lady go through our one of our workshops, and I didn't offer her a program a year and a half ago because I knew she wasn't ready. I knew taking her on then would have just been made her angry at us and made her angry at herself and be worse off. And so she had the courage to reach out again. She got Angie, who's way tougher than me, by the way. She turns a lot more people down, and she enrolled her, and this lady's doing amazing. She's first time, she's actually quit smoking and losing weight at the same time.
And she's a teacher.
She's a teacher.
So going back to school was challenging, but she overcame it.
Yeah. And so, but she started with that. She started with that training, that free training that we talk about. She booked it all, and because here's the thing. The last thing I'll say, because I know we're way over time, is to have hope. These people who've given up, stop. You can do this. If a guy like Rick can do it, who's struggled for 52 years, if he can drop 176 pounds, you can too. He can't even exercise. If somebody who's had weight loss surgery it failed over and over can do it, you can. We've had people do that. If somebody there's always a way. And there's always a way for somebody that is truly committed. And there's always an excuse for somebody who's truly not.
I love that. Well, at the end of all of my podcasts, I have a couple questions. You can elaborate on them, or you could be quick about it. It's up to you. The first question is, what is, I guess, both of y'all's biggest regret?
For me, it was literally not continuing this journey back when, like after that last child, which was born in 2001. I mean, I got, like I said, within 15, 20 pounds. And then, just life, busy, travel, whatever it was, just, and honestly together, we enabled each other.
Plenty.
I would say he enabled me.
We never
more.
bought one ice cream Sunday, I assure you.
It was
You want some ice cream today?
We're both getting them, right? Yeah. So that would be one of my regrets, and it's honestly when we hear the most from our clients that have known of us for a few years. One fella the other week was almost in tears too. He said, "I just wish I'd have done it 2 years ago when I first met you. Learned about you, because he knows he would have been where he's going." Yeah. In his journey, had he done it then. So that's it.
Mine would be when I haven't spoken up and just told my truth, to people, because we've had people die around us. Everybody thinks that it's like, you're too young to remember this, but Popeye the Sailor Man cartoon. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
There's a Navy guy. Well, he had a friend on there by the name of Wimpy. Wimpy was a big fat guy, and Wimpy's saying was, "I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today." Okay, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for the hamburger today. Back then, it was probably a nickel or whatever. But people do that with weight loss too. Is like, I'm going to eat this thing and I'm going to pay for it in a year or a month or whatever. I'll get it off one day. We've literally had people that died that we talked to. We've literally had people I know, and it really got our attention. We've had a neighbor that passed away, and I know it was obesity because I didn't speak up and tell him my truth that I could have helped him. That's my biggest regret, is the people that we haven't been able to reach because I kept my mouth shut. And I'm not talking about shaming people. I'm talking about just having an honest conversation. Hey, and that training I mentioned at transformmyfuture.com/unwritten, if they go there, that they can send their loved ones there. If they've got somebody in their family that's struggling with obesity, say, hey, I just heard this crazy guy and this crazy gal that lost 192 pounds in 260 days. I know I love you enough to send you this, send it to them. Because there'll be more coming from this other person. They'll see it and they'll see that there's a way out. They'll have hope. And when we haven't mentioned it to
I
people,
could send it to my sister. My sister, one of my sisters, she's always struggled with obesity, and she has a lot going on though too, like hormone issues.
Everybody does, but how much more?
Yeah.
How much more? And see, and this is the thing. It was like, shame on me for not telling those people I love. Shame on me for not, it's like, I've got family members who struggle with obesity too. We had a family member recently who said, hey, I want to do it. And I said, this is what we do, right? This is what we do, right? And because I'm not going to be that guy who just beats on them with that. And they came in and trucking through over 40 pounds lost, already. And so but get help. Don't try to do it on your own. I mean, but anyway, so just not communicating to people in a way they can understand. They're locked into a prison of their own making. If they have a lot going on, how much more will they have going on if they develop type 2 diabetes? How much more will they have going on if they have a stroke and their families and they're dead? And it happens to younger and younger people. All those obese, and they say, well, I'm not as fat as them. I used to say that too. I used to say, I'm not as fat as them. Yeah. And so this may be a wake up. The whole reason we met you, Thomas, may be so you could save your sister's life indirectly.
Thank you. My next question is, who or what has made the biggest impact in your life that makes you who you are?
For me, it's this man.
Oh, wow.
Who I met 1980.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a long time.
It would take more time than we have to tell you why, but he's just everything.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean, I picked a really good seat in 8 o'clock English class in 1980. It was in front of her.
I'm glad I was there early. So the seat was available.
There you go.
Wait, y'all were in college or university?
University of South Carolina, 8 o'clock, freshman English. Professor's name was Batman, believe it or not.
And he looked like it. Black, dirty fingers, drinking coffee, smoking.
It was a
chain smoker.
Yeah, pretty nasty guy.
It's easy to remember him.
That's right. Have a lot of memories of that class.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is when we think back.
And y'all have been married for what?
Only 38 years. We've been together. See, next month.
So like 5 years after or so.
Next month will be the 44th anniversary of our first date.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's not common nowadays.
What's that?
It's not common nowadays. It's hard, like especially with modern dating and the state of the world and the divisiveness between everybody.
Yep.
He stepped on the scale and saw the 3 the day after our anniversary.
31st anniversary.
The day after our 31st.
It was the next day, March 2nd, 2017. Yep.
But you're right. But we also came from parents that were together until death. Alan's dad died first back in my parents recently.
So. Yeah.
Oh, y'all seen that growing up. So it was like a shared value kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work out that way for everybody. And so it's,
there was a commitment.
She had to decide. She kind of like weight loss.
I was going to say, we made a commitment. And
I told her at the altar to buy a gun.
To do what?
To buy a gun if she wanted to get rid of me.
And we own no weapons.
Buy a gun.
The commitment like weight loss.
She buys a gun.
Don't do that.
Buys a gun. I know what's coming. So.
You know how to do that.
That's awesome. My next question is, what is one lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
Putting it off, like the weight loss, does not make it easier. It just makes you more miserable along the way when you're wishing when you're at the beach. We live a mile from the Atlantic. When I'm at the beach, I'm thinking, I've said I was going to lose that 20 pounds, which 40 that became 60, and I was not going to look like this in my bathing suit this year, and here I still am. Another year has gone by, and I could have done it. The time that I did not do it and that I was miserable, lamenting why am I not getting serious, or why are we not? I could have had it off and been enjoying those years, wearing the bathing suit I wanted, or the dress if we were out, not thinking, what am I going to wear to go to church or out for a date or out, not having to spend that time, because everything now, I just go get a hanger, and whatever it is, it's going to look good. I don't have, not to be brag.
That's all right.
I lost 63 pounds.
You got it, babe.
And, it's the confidence. It's confidence. Yeah.
5'7", and I went back down to 125, which was, like my weight in the when I was in the mid-20s.
We got married, Jim.
Yeah, when we got married. So. Yeah.
What do I regret?
No. What is one lesson you had to learn the hard way?
Had to learn. I was positively the weight. I mean, it was that the 35-year journey was a 260-day journey.
That's crazy as well. Within 1 year, before a year.
Yeah, that was a little over 8 months. Yeah. I mean, it was March 2nd to November 17th. It was like, it's like we anyway. You've heard our
we could talk 24 hours. We could have a marathon.
Yeah, it was thinking that the shortcut would, looking for the easy way.
What would you want to do or experience in life if you had all the time and money in the world?
More of this.
Travel to and speak. Wherever, whether it's a stadium or a small venue, whatever, to get the word out, really, that it's possible.
Yeah.
And life's passing you by if you're struggling, and you really don't know, like we've talked about our kids and whatnot, how they blossomed in different ways after, or other people, but you don't know how the people that love you might be hurting, like I was every night when I went to bed. Alan had no idea that was going through my mind. He never would have wanted me to worry.
No, I know.
But that was going through my mind every night. Would he wake up to be my husband?
What was the question?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those last year.
I was dead men walking.
As he was really getting large, and like you said, we sold him life. We were selling the senior market, and there weren't a lot of
there were not that over. Nah, it's
that we were visiting. Yeah. So.
What was the question again? I can't remember now. I've got CRS. Can't remember stuff. So.
Oh, that's what that's called. No, I think you just have a lot on your mind. So, what would you want to do or experience in life if you had all the time and money in the world?
I just want to see when that clicker on the 92,000. I mean, there's a website called The World Counts, and I don't know how accurate it is, but they show that's where I pull the number 940. It's probably 945. I mean, it goes up so fast, the obesity growth rate worldwide, and it's based on some pretty significant data that I can tell, and it looks like over 92,000 a day are becoming obese. And to know
92,000 a day.
A day. That's the increase. To change the trajectory of obesity, it's got to be almost 100,000 people getting weight off to change that trajectory, to move that needle. Okay, it's like Rick. He was 212 pounds today. At 208, he escapes obesity. Now it's taken him over 3 years to go from 388 down that, but he hasn't even thought about that piece. But that's the day that I really celebrate. I know he's going to 188 and all, but he is now. Everybody now he's they think it was easy, But just seeing that, knowing that we had played a part in that obesity counter, and you don't have to do crazy, you don't have to do stupid diets. I mean, but you have to take responsibility, because what'll happen. I mean, it's just like that John 10:10 verse where Jesus says, "I came to give you life abundantly." And the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. The enemy's using obesity to do it. Man, it is just the most ingenious plan in the world. I mean, the enemy's no joke. He's been around for millenniums, and knowing that we can show people how to have an abundant life. And I'm not talking about telling them how much friggin' broccoli to eat. I care less. Do they have to? Do they all come to the same conclusion? Either they go lean protein, vegetable based. They get out of all the packaged food. I don't have to tell them. They figure it out on their own. They're like, "Can I eat this?" "Oh, no, tell me. You tell me. You figure it out. Test it. See how it works for you." And they all figure out they either go lean protein and plant-based or plant-based. They all end up there at some level. They all do. Every one of them does. They get out all the packaged crap, all the different things, all the stuff, and they're like,
sugar. Sugar's big.
Yeah. They get. I mean, it's like Angie and I spoke at a sugar summit. It's been
a sugar summit.
So Sugar Summit is like a no sugar summit. Excuse me, is what.
Oh no! I was like,
all these PhDs and MDs were on there, and they said, "What are your qualifications?" And I said, "We're failures. We're failures." I said, with all of y'all's knowledge and everything, let me ask you a question. Do you really think that there's any evidence anywhere on ever that anybody's gotten extremely healthy, extremely fit, eating massive quantities of sugar? I'm like, no. I said, you don't have to be a PhD to figure this out. I mean, it's common sense.
Cancer. I know cancer loves sugar or something like that.
There's a million things wrong with it. It's like, but it also doesn't mean, and here's the other thing, I'll throw another curve at you. Doesn't mean you can't ever have it.
Yeah.
Process a little bit. I mean, like have you had sugar in the last 365 days?
I mean, fruit.
But real sugar. Have you eaten anything with processed sugar in it? Tell the truth. Have you eaten one bite of anything with processed sugar in it? Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, and it did because it's the rarity. It's the rarity, right? Mm-hmm. It's the rarity, and you can have some stuff. It's like I can have a glass of wine, but I can't drink the whole bottle. I'll feel like crap the next day. I can have a glass of wine. I mean, it's not. And this is what people miss is that everything's permissible. It's just not everything's beneficial. And you have to decide how much. It's like our son, he lifts and looks, he's like you, he's 26 and he looks like a James Bond model. He eats pretty much what he wants part of the time.
That's how I am.
Part of the time. And that's not cheating. That's just owning the fact that you've earned it. You've earned it. And there's a price to pay for it. And so as people look at all this stuff, it's just we want people to down the road. I want to be looked at as the guy who trusted enough in human responsibility, in human beings being responsible, that he didn't have to give them a diet or exercise plan, but he could show people a way out of the wilderness so they could be free and have that abundant life that they've been promised, so that they're not in shame when they go on a date. So they're not in shame when the somebody in their company who's thin and in shape stands up and says something totally stupid in a business meeting, that they have the courage to stand up because they're in shape now too, and they'll stand up and stand against that person who's leading them down the wrong path, but instead of hiding like they want to do. So that they'll figure out that their kids are being impacted by it. So they'll figure out that the people around them are being impacted. They have all this influence. And they're one bite away from having momentum.
You said one bite?
One bite away from having momentum. They're one bite away. They will learn that they've been in control for the whole time, and nobody else has. Even though the food industry, FDA, it's a scam. It's a scam. Guess what? They're going to get you sick with the food pyramid. Now they're going to fix you with drugs. Go figure. FDA, all the drug, it's all a scam. It's all bent to keep you addicted, and so. But you 100% have the ability to get out. Every single person.
Is there anything you'd like to share? Any last thing you'd like to share with whoever's listening?
Just thank everybody for enduring an hour and 42 minutes of us talking.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
So if they've got the endurance to listen to that little 40-minute video, will be very easy for them to watch. And if they're struggling, hey, just go check it out. transformmyfuture.com/unwritten, which is Thomas's show's name. And
it doesn't get any easier than it will today.
Yeah, it doesn't.
To make the choice.
And have the courage, book a call with us. We'll figure out if we can help them. We'll get real clear on how bad the problem is with weight, how committed they are to solve it, if we can help them. But we've done a lot. Ain't our first rodeo.
So go check them out, everybody, whoever's listening. And as always, stay curious. Never give up. You got this. Peace.